I never knew it before, but filmmaking is in my blood. It was only after I was given all these reels of film that I discovered it. What you see before you is a powwow. It's an American Indian celebration filled with tradition and culture that has been passed down for generations. My grandfather, Earl Past, fell in love with this culture and these people. Although he was white, he was brought in and honorarily adopted into a number of tribes. And he brought his family with him. Throughout the 60s and 70s, they would spend many of their weekends traveling across the country, going to these powwows. This was his life. This is his film. And this is what he left for me. And I intend to finish it. Can you really discover somebody you've never met? If all you had were pictures and films, can you know them? This is my struggle. He died in 1980, 7 years before my birth. But I've always felt his influence on my family, and even who I was. Perhaps I can know him the most through the family he's left behind. My father, my uncles, my aunt, and my grandmother. And that's where I'll start, with them. And so I go to my Uncle Dick to find out how Grandpa got involved with the American Indian culture.
While he was stationed at a military base during the war in Colorado, a town called La Junta, Colorado, he became acquainted with a group of non-Indian, scouts out there. They called themselves Koshari. They were involved in scouting, and so was Dad. And what really it's where he developed an interest in Native American culture, because they were really heavy into it. Anyway, that's where Dad first got what they call bug about Indian culture. And he started up an Explorer Scout troop, the high school age guys. And they were conventional explorer posts for several years. And then somewhere along the line, evidently, he decided to establish that post theme is Indian culture, Indian crafts and culture. Eventually, it got disassociated entirely from a scouting organization and changed into a Native American crafts, I guess you might say, youth club, co-ed youth club called the Nanabouge. And your Aunt Sherry was in it, and I, and well, your dad and Uncle Bob and Uncle Steve, they were too young for it, because we were all in high school age kids. There was one time particularly, or a couple times, Grandpa hired Ken Funmaker, Ho-Chunk Indian who lived in Chicago with his family at the time. He hired Ken and his wife to come out to our group in Palatine, this Nanabouge group, to teach all the youngsters in the group about real Indian dancing, how it's done. And we learned how the real way to do it, rather than just trying to imitate what we read about, not having it even seen, but we read about it. But seeing is when you really realize what it is, and that's what we learned from Ken Funmaker's family, how to dance.
Eager to find out more about his relationship with the Funmaker family, I called up John Safani, who also was really involved in the American Indian culture and was a friend of my grandfather.
Later in life, he got adopted by a Winnebago man named Harry Funmaker, and he was, at that time, the eldest member of the Bear Clan with the Winnebago tribe, and they became very, very good friends. And Harry Funmaker adopted him as a brother, and when he adopted him, he also gave him all of the clan rights of the Bear Clan, And he also gave him an Indian name, and this is what you might have to ask your uncle about, because I don't know how to. I'm good at saying these things, but I don't know how to spell them. His Indian name was White Bear, but in Indian it's Unshkaga, and I know Unshka, that's something to do with a bear, but he gave him that name.
This is part of the legacy that my grandfather has left for my family. When he died in 1980 of a heart attack, this is what he left behind. And that's my hope too, to leave behind something, to give future generations of my family a way to know who this man was.
When he died, they had his smoking ceremony. The way the Winnebagos do it, they take a man's clothes, his outfit, and put it out. And the people all come and take a piece of it, and they use it, and that way he goes on, he dances, he's still there. In other words, you'd be at a dance and then you see a piece of his outfit going by. You know, Earl's still with us, you know, the Indian way at least, that's how they think. And so when they had his smoking ceremony, they did that. But the reason I want to say about that is I felt so much family that when that happened, I didn't take anything. The only thing I took from there was ashes from the fire that they used for the smoking ceremony, and I still have them here in my house. That's how much I thought of that man. Yeah, they're here right now.